How does one get the opportunity to get into investment banking when you've got 3 GCSEs?
I had to prove myself to climb the way up. The last role that I did was at Silicon Valley Bank in 2012, where we started a teeth whitening brand through franchise models.
What was the whole process of you getting into Tesco's and Superdrugs?
So I got sued. We were the first to bring that to the UK. It sold out all of the time, and then Superdrug put it on the shelf, their own model, half the price.
So they're done you basically.
Correct. I've had 5 startups, sold 3 of them. Really, you should focus on one thing at a time. I had a makeup company with another reality TV star. That done really well, but I ended up selling that back to her. But influencer marketing was a massive thing for me. I now own 200 clinics across 9 countries. LinkedIn actually led to me selling my business. The numbers produced from e-com and retail were tenfold better than franchise. Look after number one, which is yourself and your business. You need to be addicted to that to succeed a little bit. Yeah, we were doing about £600,000 to £700,000 a month, and then I decided, okay, this is serious.
You were doing £6 million turnover from a side hustle.
Went on to sell and merge with another business when we were achieving sort of 12. So I sold the business for €30 million.
Ben, I'm going to start off the podcast like this. In your whole time, in all your years of doing entrepreneurship, what's the greatest lesson you've learned?
The greatest lesson I've learned in entrepreneurship is purely about execution. There's always an idea that someone's probably already done, but it's about execution that makes it happen.
Now, if we had to give an introduction to yourself, because this is an exclusive podcast, one that, I mean, you've never told your story anywhere before, and you've got an incredible story. You've built a business, you sold a business, which I'm sure we'll get into in this podcast, for several 7 figures, right? And we'll get into that as well. But yeah, if you just had to give us a background check on who you are, what you do, where you've come from, and the whole lot. Let's go through it.
Yeah, sure. It's a very strange career path, to be transparent. I started my life as an estate agent, very briefly, but for a couple of years when I first left school.
I'm pretty sure people can tell from right now, from your accent, you're from Essex.
That's right. Yeah, borderline, Hertfordshire.
Yeah,
if I want to be posh.
Yeah, it's good Essex. Yeah,
but borderline. So I left school with no GCSEs, and the reason for that is I hated it. But also I was a relatively good motocross rider at the time. I thought I was going to make something within that. However, I ultimately found out that there's guys faster than me, and also you can't make a lot of money in it.
Motocross is the one where you've got all the jumps and stuff like that on the dirt, right?
Yeah, that's it.
You never mentioned that one to me before.
Yeah, so at the age of 15, 16, I became third in England for Supercross. So I rode inside the O2 Arena, Echo Arena, and other arenas around the UK. I moved to California for a little bit to ride out there for around 6 months. But ultimately, I was at that age where I was 16, 17, 18 and started socialising more, understood that actually this isn't going to be financially beneficial for me. But during that period, the later days of school, I really hated it. I didn't do well in it. I had 3 GCSEs because I used to take days off during the week to go riding.
Yeah.
And that really sort of played a big part into the next chapter. I knew that I couldn't go down a career path without any GCSEs that would get me anywhere. And I also had that sort of cliche entrepreneurial spirit of always wanting to sort of buy and sell stuff, even in school. And I'm sure you hear that from a majority of entrepreneurs. But ultimately, that led to me falling into a estate agency when I left school. Worked for Countrywide, one of the biggest agents in the UK, and at the time was one of their youngest assistant managers until I sort of found an opportunity to move into investment banking. Quite a junior level, but sort of worked my way up, and I went on to do 10 years at various banks in London. Left in 2021. But near the end of my career path there, I was a manager of around 35 analysts, and I had a bit of a side hustle, or multiple, should I say, during the time. And that always is what I wanted to do, move into the business side of it. But I knew that for businesses to survive, they needed cash to survive. Therefore, I couldn't compete with the salary of the bank and pay myself. So at the time, I was just funneling the money back into the businesses to ensure that they grow. Yeah.
I want to pause you there and come back to it, because there's a lot to unpack in everything you just said there. You just pretty much said 21 years of your life in 2 minutes. So going to the motocross side of things, though you said it wouldn't be financially viable for you to make a full-on career out of this. And the time doing your, racing in London or going to California, was it financially viable for that?
No, it was. It wasn't. It was self-funded to some degree. Free bikes, and parts, helmets, etc. But it was never a salary.
Yeah,
it would never have been. It is for some, but I realised it would never be as soon as I got to a maturer age.
Yeah. It's funny because I done a podcast a while ago. I want to say 2022 with a guy named Mark McCann. One of his careers is being the supplier for all the parts and the bikes and all that sort of stuff, or one of his big businesses, should I say.
Yeah.
So interesting. So, okay, from that point, after you came back from California, you were how old roughly?
So this was around 17 years old.
17 years old. Did anyone go with, to California with you?
No,
yourself?
Just myself. So my mum and dad always supported the motocross side of it, but at the point of me moving back, they actually went to move to Australia. So mum and dad moved to Australia about 17, 18.
Yeah.
I decided to stay in the UK because at this point I sort of had started a new job.
Yeah.
I actually had this idea, which we'll talk about shortly, and decided to stay put on my own.
You got any siblings?
2 younger sisters who went with them.
Okay, wait, so hold on. What age were you when you went to California?
About 17.
17. You came back, or you said within 6 months or something?
Yeah, so 17, 18 I came back.
So when you came back, they went, how long did they go for?
Mum's still there now. My dad moved back around 5-6 years ago. So they've stayed there effectively.
Okay, so they were there for a while. And your sisters always stayed there?
One sister moved back.
Yeah.
I think just after my dad.
Yeah.
But my mum's still over in Perth.
So were you, from 17 years old, was your upbringing alone essentially, or?
Not alone as such. Like they were obviously supportive, but it was my decision to stay in the UK.
Yeah. Did they tell you to come to Australia?
Yeah, I could have come for sure.
Yeah.
I was on the visa. Like I could have went.
Yeah,
I even flew over to sort of start that visa so that if I changed my mind, I could go.
Yeah.
But I was with my partner, who I'm with now, still at the time. So I've been with my partner since that age, and I'm 32 now. So going on 15 years. So I decided to stay with her, stay in my role. I was doing quite well in the business, and then had this opportunity to move into investment banking. So for me, that was okay. Going from no GCSEs to a career path that can pay well, I decided to stay put and not impact that.
Tell me, how does one get the opportunity to get into investment banking when you've got 3 GCSEs?
Yeah, good point. Very junior level, and had to prove myself to climb the way up. But I had an opportunity with someone I worked with, and that individual was my boss. So ultimately, I sort of proved myself in agency, and then moved over into banking. Stayed at that business for 4 or 5 years. And then moved on to Santander on their global market side. And then the last role that I did was at Silicon Valley Bank.
Wicked.
Which I left in 2021, as I said. But in 2012, that's where I had the idea, actually during a visit in Australia, to start up a teeth whitening brand. I was there on holiday, seeing my mum and dad, and had my teeth whitened in a salon.
In Australia?
In Australia. And I actually got it on Groupon. And I couldn't understand why at the time. I sat down in the chair and they gave me everything next to me and made me do it myself. For me, the teeth whitening is dentistry, and therefore like there should be a dentist there doing it for you.
Yeah.
So I looked into it, and there was not a lot at the time happening in the UK offering that sort of product. So I decided to launch exactly that in 2012, where we started our journey as a teeth whitening brand, offering it in salons, but through franchise models. So the first few I invested in, I'd buy the product, I'd buy the machine, and then it work on a split of revenue and profits.
Yeah.
So I provide you with enough treatments to do 20 people. I then received the cost of goods back as well as a profit split. And effectively that grew really well. We had 35 franchises across the UK and Northern Ireland, done incredibly well. But there was a very grey area on the law on beauticians offering whitening.
Okay, yeah.
Effectively, because it was self-administered, we were the right side of the law and doing it the right way, but it was such a grey area that I was concerned with the way that model was operating.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I was doing everything correctly. So around 2014, 2015, we decided to completely pivot and offer over-the-counter products. So there's no question whether it's right or wrong. The product is being supplied in line with EU law, the correct percentages of peroxide and what you're allowed to use in that product. And we grew that to e-com, but also stocked in Superdrug and Tesco's. And that done really well until there was 101 whitening companies. You see them everywhere now.
Everywhere now, yeah.
Everywhere, yeah. And there was another aspect which made me stop. I think we were the first to bring quite an innovative product to the UK, which was a charcoal tooth polish. Effectively, that allowed you to, I don't know if you've seen it, it's like a black
It's like a paste that you put on your toothbrush, right? And
that's it. But this was a powder form.
okay.
And it was activated carbon, which is one of the most absorbent molecules that you can use to absorb bacteria. It's actually used in drug overdoses, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we were the first to bring that to the UK. It sold out all of the time. We stocked it in Superdrug, used to fly off the shelf, stocked it in Tesco's, fly off the shelves, and then Superdrug put it on the shelf, their own model, half the price, sitting next to it.
So they're done you, basically.
Correct.
All right, let's break that down further, because you mentioned also whilst you were at the bank, you had several businesses that you were just constantly funding. I'm assuming one of them was the teeth whitening.
Correct. That was the main one. Yeah,
that was the main.
That was the
what
main
was the rest of them?
So I had a couple of failures within there, and I
want to know everything about your failures before we go to your success.
So I've tried other things. So I had a men's hair grooming company, flopped.
Mm-hmm. Why did that flop?
Yeah, it flopped because I'd done it with the face of it was a reality TV star.
Okay, yeah.
And I think with that, it just wasn't aligned.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I have another story like that, but ultimately, I think you learn that giving equity to people who are not necessarily on the same page as you. And at this point, I didn't know about shareholders' agreements. It was just a loose conversation, right? I was young. I was in the early 20s. It just didn't work. And I realised after that and another couple of projects that I will tell you about that I was just focusing on too much. I'm trying to do my day job. I'm trying to think of these ideas and roll out these companies to make it. And really, you should focus on one thing at a time. Okay, if you have a job just to fund you then and doing it on the side, then that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But you should put all your energy into one thing.
And then as you try and five. What about another failure?
Another failure was a vitamin company. I had a 28-day nutrition pack.
Interesting. Why did that fail?
So I got sued.
Okay, that's why I failed.
Well, not sued because of the product, but I was very stupid. I was, again, young. I had a competitor's box sent to my house.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, I started the company and the same address was on company's house.
Oh, okay. I see.
So
yeah.
It was very similar. I ended up winning and had to rebrand. And again, I just pumped too much time and effort into it to not see that it was worth continuing.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I tried.
Okay, so it was worth continuing then?
No, I don't think it was. I think if it was my only thing and I put everything into it, for sure. But the numbers that the teeth whitening brand was doing at the time,
okay, so
that is what I focused on.
Anything else?
I had a makeup company with another reality TV star.
Yeah.
That done really well. But I ended up selling that back to her.
Why?
Good question. In my head, it shouldn't have happened. The company ended up closing down, but it was selling out really quick.
So the company closed down after you had left, I'm assuming? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The individual didn't want to keep going with it. I think because financially could see faster payments from brand deals from others instead of growth and equity, which was what I was trying to build. Yeah. Ultimately, a company that you receive something from it today and it's in terms of a dividend, but maybe it's a point where it can exit. Like if you look at some of the valuations that these makeup brands are achieving now.
Next level. Who was it? Bella Hadid just got acquired for like $1 billion or something like that.
Yeah. Was it not Justin Bieber's wife?
That's Justin Bieber's wife.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, sorry, not
Hailey
Bieber.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got Bella Hadid from, but
no, but it's the same.
Yeah. No, exactly.
That's it. And Kendall Jenner,
cosmetics, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cosmetics. It could be a good big industry
for sure.
That individual. But look, it's lessons learned.
Yeah.
Like, I go back to the point. I didn't know about shareholders agreements. Very loose conversations. Yeah, maybe writing, but very loose and not. I know more than I know today.
Yeah.
Than I did then.
So why did you exit the makeup then? Like, if they were doing well,
sold it back to the individual, and she decided to close it down.
Okay, that's what it was. So tell me, what do you think it was about that makeup brand that was seeing success compared to other businesses you had started?
I think it was unique. The individual behind it was brilliant. I think it really aligned. It wasn't just like put someone in front of a makeup brand. It was like it really aligned and could have done well.
Yeah. It's funny. All that's in my head. I'm just imagining the whole cast of Towie, part of Ben's.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So it was an individual from Towie, and look, at the end of the day, we all have our own paths, and we decided just not to proceed that one. But I think it could have done really well for sure. But again, I'm glad what happened because it allowed me to then focus on the teeth whitening brand, which again, we got to a point where we knew, going back to my point, 101 teeth whitening brands, we knew that teeth whitening alone wasn't going to change our lives. So I decided to completely change that model. I met a celebrity dentist. He worked with the likes of Dua Lipa, Rita Ora, Jamie Redknapp, and many more to transform their smiles. And I sat down with him to try and redevelop my brand Diamond Whites and offer something completely different to any other teeth whitening business. And that was at the time to bring a dentist to the front of it, to offer something that can give trust to consumer. Okay, this is signed off by a Harley Street dentist, it's all approved, etc., and make us very different to every other on the market.
Mm-hmm.
But whilst doing that, we saw a massive opportunity in the orthodontic space.
What's that?
Invisalign.
Okay, yeah.
So our own version of Invisalign, effectively. So clear aligners is the Invisalign's obviously a brand, but clear aligners is the terminology for it. And in 2020, we sort of slowed down on the whitening side and launched a whole new entity to launch invisible aligners. But ours was very different because it was up to 70% cheaper than a dentist. And the reason it was cheaper wasn't because of the quality of the treatment necessarily. It was down to the fact that we monitored you from home using AI.
Okay.
So instead of coming to see us every 4 to 5 weeks, you would effectively scan in every 7 days on an app, and AI, as well as doctors. So if there was a red flag, our doctors would look at it, call you into the clinic or whatever happened.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why it was a red flag, they would rectify. But ultimately, that saved us money because we could focus on first visits. It gave better treatment outcomes because you're monitored more frequently. And the success, I guess, of having the previous brand already well known and the celebrity dentist allowed that brand to really scale and then go on to exit.
Yeah. I want to talk about the e-com side of the business, right? Because as you said there, you first started the business because you went to Australia to get your teeth whitening done, and it was a do-it-yourself thing. And you went to the dental suites and put the kits there basically for people to do, right?
Yeah. So it was actually salons.
Yeah. Salons.
So that's why I stopped doing it, because you can't offer advice on dental treatments unless you're a dentist.
Yeah.
The way we did it, we didn't offer advice. We offered a self-administered product, the same as if you'd buy from Superdrug and Tesco's at the time. Yeah. But I couldn't control what that individual was saying in that room up in Wales or wherever it might be. Mm-hmm. So whilst I'd set out guidelines of, look, you can and can't do this, effectively it was very, very grey area, and it made me nervous that one individual said the wrong thing, and it could
collapse the whole thing.
It could go wrong. So that's why I stopped that sort of franchise model of in-chair whitening.
So where did you get the idea from, okay, cool, I can actually just take this kit and sell it online to the consumer?
Well, e-com weren't really a thing then.
What year are we talking about?
2014, 15.
Okay,
It was like online shopping obviously was around, but it was around for maybe the bigger companies. Like there was no Google ads.
That was your Gymshark days, basically, stuff like that.
Yeah, it was like, so I started, the way this grew on over-the-counter side, and I didn't start to look into ads until like 2019, 2020, I think, and I was probably late to the game on that. But influencer marketing was a massive thing for me. I used to gift celebrity stuff and they'd post. They wouldn't even ask for a fee at the time.
Yeah.
Like now it's completely different, right?
How much is it? Yeah, $2,000.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and more. Like you just wouldn't be able to give a whitening kit to someone and it appear on their Instagram. Back then, you could just send something out and they'd post about it.
Yeah.
And that's how we grew massively. And you're right, it's mostly reality TV stars. Like I'm not going to sit here and say I had A-list celebrities posting about it, but that was the prime of reality TV. It was when it first started coming on the TV, and we sort of made the most out of it.
So what about the actual process of turning it into an e-com brand? Because before that, it was go there and it wasn't so much online focus.
Yeah.
That point of, okay, cool, I need to package it up and sell it to consumers. Did you have to learn a whole new set of skill set?
I mean, the fundamentals were there in terms of attracting and acquiring a customer. So like Instagram was always the main
source.
The main source and the main platform we used to acquire customers, whether they were for the in-chair whitening or over-the-counter. Effectively, all we did was adapt our marketing strategy to say, visit this website or visit this store.
Yeah.
And actually, it made the price point a lot cheaper because it was anything from, I mean, our whitening toothpaste was £10, expensive for a toothpaste, yes, but also worked.
But how long does a toothpaste last as well?
Oh, it could be 2 to 3 months, right?
Okay, yeah, so not that bad.
So it's not
for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it depends how much you brush your teeth, but if it's twice a day, as you should.
Oh, so is it actual toothpaste that still gives you the benefits of toothpaste?
Some of it was, yeah.
With charcoal as well.
So we had two versions of the toothpaste. We had a charcoal polish, which was just a powder. You dab it on your toothbrush, created a real mess, but it was a bit of a trend and it done really well.
Yeah.
Then we formulated that into a paste, and then we had another paste, just a general day-to-day paste on top of that.
Yeah.
And then the whitening kits with syringes and mouth trays that you put in yourself.
Yeah.
But they were non-peroxide, so the results from them were good depending on the individual. Like they're not, not going to walk out there looking like Simon Cowell, but if your teeth are heavily stained, you're going to see a difference.
Yeah. And you've probably got to do it quite a few times and stuff like that.
For sure, it's a course.
The only time I ever had my teeth whitened was back in, I think it was 2020, right? The second podcast I ever done was with a guy who whitens teeth.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I needed to do a podcast up in Coventry with Boys from Farmhouse. And I got my teeth whitened for it. And that process was, I got so frustrated with it because what it was I had to lay back on the chair. He put the teeth whitening stuff on my teeth, and then I had to put these sunglasses on, a big infrared thing, or whatever it was, and it was kind of like baking onto my teeth. But the whole time I've got this mold that's stretching out my whole mouth.
Yeah, it's awkward.
For a full hour, I was hating every second of it.
Yeah, it's awkward.
And then when I saw after that, I started seeing these ads appear. It probably might have been your ads, to be fair, where you'd see these girls in the mirrors, they're biting down on this little device
with a light.
And I'm thinking, okay, so people could
spoil them
like that.
Yeah, you can do it from home. Now, did you have sensitivity after that?
What do you mean?
Like, did your teeth ache in some way? Was it in a dental clinic?
No, it was at my house.
Okay, then it shouldn't have been peroxide. Now, there's two levels of whitening, non-peroxide and peroxide. Peroxide can only be provided by dentists. That's the only thing that will generally bleach your teeth and give it as a real whiter shade, other than removing stains. Which what we offered was something that brightened your teeth because it removes stains, not a bleach.
Yeah.
And that's where
a bleach is just full white, then, isn't it?
A bleach it can be. Yeah. Again, it's all down to genetics, but it will give you a better result for sure. But that can only be provided by a dentist. It can only be administered by a dentist, and then they can sign you off to have it at home.
Yeah.
So we now offer that, but ultimately that's because it's prescribed by a dentist at the time, and still now you can't sell that over the counter in the UK. Go to America, you can. It's crazy percentages of peroxide, but in the UK it's under 0.01.
So did you open up in America?
Yeah, so no, my company didn't. I've now sold that business, and I've done that through equity swap. So I now own 200 clinics across 9 countries. Not wholly owned, but a portion of it.
We're going to get to that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I wanted to talk about was with the e-commerce side, right? Now, as you said, the two models there, one's going in person and one's they're buying it from home. Instantly, my brain's saying scalability.
You sure?
With the e-commerce.
Yeah.
Is that when did you see your business literally explode?
Yeah. Without a doubt. The numbers produced from e-com and retail were tenfold better than the franchise. It was a proper business then. And
then when the other retailer done you because they made a cheaper version of it, did you see that affect
massively
the online store as well?
The problem I had was I launched online and that was doing well, and then you have this retail opportunity that you think is going to change your life, and the problem with retail is the quantities get higher, great, the margins get smaller, and they get a lot smaller. So yes, you're selling more units, but the reality is you're probably not earning much more. So I decided to pull the plug on it completely, because not only because of the situation of replicating the product half the price, but you've got to look after number one. Like, if you're able to attract customers to your website, purchase on your website and deliver within a timely manner, which is most cases next day now, unless you're in Dubai and it's 15 minutes. Ultimately, that's better for your business. Like, you're getting more into your pocket, which allows you to reinvest back into the business and ultimately provide better service.
At that point there where you've seen that supermarket had done that, they probably didn't do it intentionally to you, but they just thought, okay, cool, we're making money from this and all that.
For sure, and it happens all the time.
What did you learn in that you could teach other people?
Look after number one, which is yourself and your business. I think ultimately these opportunities come around and sometimes you have to take them. For example, say if I wasn't selling a lot online and I had this opportunity to go into retail, and it really would change my business, don't turn it down just because of those factors, but take a view on it. Actually, what am I going to achieve off this? Is it an awareness campaign? Is it more money? Is it what is the incentive to go down this road? Because it doesn't always work out as better financials for the business.
And I suppose you can take that lesson and apply it to anything in life, because whatever your goal may be, whatever road you're taking, is it going to get to that goal? If not, it might not be the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think as long as you can control, I think the great thing about e-com is you can control the customer journey, the patient journey, whatever it may be, and you can determine and have a lot more control on price point. With retail, for example, you have to do a certain amount of offers a year. That's another thing that I think kind of destroyed the brand a little bit, was too many offers. The retailers are saying you need to do 2 for 1 or whatever the offer might be. You have to do that to remain in store. Every time you do something like that, it cheapens your brand.
Yeah.
And you can only sell to a customer when it's discounted. And I think that was massively an impact on financials.
A customer's point of view is going to be like, okay, cool, if it's £10 now, it's all right, wait a couple of weeks and it's going to be in discount and soon anyway.
I saw it 6 weeks ago for half price. I'll wait 6 weeks and it'll be there again.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality of buyers. Not all, for sure, but a lot. And as soon as you go down that road of being a discounted brand, it's very, very hard to pull back. You don't see brands like Rolex or any others doing sales.
Yeah, I don't. You never see a 2 for 1. If they say 2 for 1,
exactly.
The world's gone mad. Yeah. How did you actually get into retail in the first place? The reason why I want to understand this, right, is because I have only seen this from a Dragon's Den or Shark Tank point of view.
Yeah.
Because one of the dragons or sharks would sit there and say, okay, cool, I can take you to retail.
Yeah.
Did you do it yourself? Did you have a link? What was the whole process of you getting into Tesco's and Superdrugs?
So I think numbers spoke for themselves. I think what retail want to see is that the product sells. Me and you can't sit here and create something today and stick it on a shelf because there's limited shelf space. So the numbers were one thing. We were doing well in terms of quantity. We could see those quantities were rising. So that certainly helped. And
that's just online numbers you're talking about.
Online numbers were at that point was the only thing we were doing. And also there's agents out there that can help support that, so they have direct relationships. Also LinkedIn. LinkedIn actually led to me selling my business, so we'll speak about that later. But
I remember you showing me the messages.
It's a great tool to go directly to the person. Okay, they might not answer all the time, but it is a great tool just to outreach. Let's
talk about that then, as we're on that.
Yeah.
So you had started the business essentially in 2014, roughly. No, 2012.
2012.
And then 2021 when you exited, right?
When 2021 is when I stepped down from banking.
Okay. Oh, really? So what? This whole time you were in banking?
Still in banking for 10 years.
Why?
Did
you never get to that pivot point of like, right now it's got to be one or the other?
Yeah, we were doing about £600,000 to £700,000 a month in revenue, and then I decided, okay, this is serious.
Only up until that point.
Only up until
I would have decided in the first 10k.
Yeah, but I know, and look, maybe I should have, but I was paid well in a good career path, and I didn't want to take money out of the business to suffocate it.
Did you ever see the side of I need more time for this business, or was you actually?
It's a great question. And I think if I put more time into it, could have it been more of a success or a success quicker, potentially. But the good thing I like about e-com is once you've implemented that product, the customer journey, you can improve during maybe sometimes work hours or non-work hours, whatever it may be. The customer goes on the website they purchase, and you have the third-party logistics firm send the product out.
Yeah.
You don't even have to touch the product.
So I've just done some maths here. Now, this is going to sound crazy for a title, but essentially, if you think about it, and I mean this in no other way but other than the fact that it's sick, you basically made you were doing £6 million turnover from a side hustle.
Yeah, it got to that point. Yeah. I left in the second year. So the first year we achieved 3.2 million revenue for this new venture. Second year, 6.9. And then we went on to sell and merge with another business when we were achieving sort of 12s.
That's mental. But yeah, no, back to the whole sales process, because me and you have had this conversation previously before, but I do want to definitely unpack more of it. Why did you decide to want to step down?
From banking or from the business?
Banking, from the business.
So I went down, in our second year, we went down the route of raising some capital. So the first tranche was around 600k from venture capital. That allowed us to grow even quicker. And we went on then to what we call a Series A, so our first big raise. This was post-COVID. We'd done really well in COVID. The great thing about our business model was that there was limited visits to a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
During COVID times was perfect. It was a perfect storm. We did offer at the start home impression kits, so in order to get started, you could have a kit sent to your house and you return it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect for the people not leaving their house. And we then went on off the back of these great numbers to raise capital. We wanted to raise 5 million. We received those offers, two different VCs, high level look at the business and multiple meetings in office and in theirs. And we received the offers. I accepted one and left one on the back burner. And ultimately, during the last stage, what they call investment committee, you turn on the news each day, each week, radio, whatever it may be, and all you would hear is energy prices, gas prices, inflation, consumer spend. And being in that consumer category, it made all investors nervous. So as I went to proceed with the first offer, it got withdrawn. Went to the second offer and got withdrawn on the basis of the economy and not the business. And we were growing fast and needed cash to continue that growth. So I went back out to knock on doors and try and raise the money. And it wasn't really going anywhere. The feedback was, look, you're in a consumer category. We're keeping cash on the side to understand what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And that led to me identifying a competitor who was starting in the UK, well-funded, raised at this point maybe 100 to 150 million euros to date for themselves. And I knew that they were building multiple clinics in the UK at that time. So I decided to fire them a LinkedIn message to the CEO and said, look, we have pretty good market share here. Number one was held by another company who's no longer in business. I said, let's partner up and become a team to take over the UK. And
at this point, all you wanted was capital injection, right?
Exactly that. So my initial view was, okay, they give me this 5 million, they take a small chunk of the business. Yeah. It supports me financially. We grow and have synergies. We're in the same market. There wasn't ever a discussion on, okay, buying me out today, maybe down the line. And he flew over. We had various meetings and it then led to an offer to purchase a business. And we signed that late 2023. I went in to become their UK CEO for their UK business as well as my own. We sort of merged businesses, scaled back down mine to roll out theirs, built 12 clinics throughout the UK. And I stepped down from daily operations March last year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been a crazy journey. What was the talk in your head when it came down to getting bought out, essentially?
So, like I said, I went into that meeting or that message not saying buy me.
Yeah. Yes, you just wanted the money to grow, essentially.
Yeah. And the brand's vision that bought me was ultimately they're building their brand. It was a strategic acquisition to scale up the UK arm of their brand faster.
Yeah.
Utilize our database, our network, our team, etc. to
everything what the business has built
to build the UK faster. And that's now what's happened. Is mine scaled back and theirs scaled upwards. And the offer of I couldn't turn down. I've been doing it 10 years at this point. So like it's 2012, it was the same business. So whilst it was a different legal entity, it was effectively the same brand. And at that point, I thought, okay, so this is my time to sort of maybe one day take a step back. And that was about 2 years later, because I stayed on for a bit. Obviously, from the point of negotiation to completion, and then me stepping down, it's like a 2-year window. So I stayed with the business for a couple of years. But they have the resource, the team, the capital to take it further. And I guess I had already done my part to get it to where it was today.
Do you mind saying how much the acquisition was, or close to, or anything like that?
So I sold the business for 30 million euros.
30 million euros. That was in 2023, right?
2023 we signed, completed after we regulated by the FCA. So after the FCA approvals, 2024 we completed the deal.
So it was pretty much agreed upon when you were 30 years old.
Yeah.
Now, there's always been that saying, Forbes, I think they originated it, 30 by 30, 30 million by 30. You had achieved that. How'd that make you feel at the time?
Yeah, do you know what? It's the way the deal was structured as well. It was an equity swap, so it's not like I've got £30 million sitting in this pocket right now. But look, it's nice to know that all of that graft and hard work had led to something. Now, the company that acquired mine and I own a portion of, we operate in 9 countries globally, 200 clinics, and the largest chain across Europe. The 30 may go on to be a larger number when I have a liquidity event, but it also allows me to now move on to the next chapter of my life. I've got a 3.5-year-old boy. I now live in Dubai, and it's allowed me to then look at what I've done historically and in the past, and ideally help others do that.
Do you think you could replicate what you built?
In the same market or something else?
In something else, but building a business to that caliber and eventually having an exit?
Yeah, I think so. And that's with not me sounding arrogant. I just think that the things that I've learned, I can do it again. And in fact, I'm in the process of it. So I started something in October 2024. We've done £3 million since then. And it's now doing, last 2 months, it's done $1 million a month.
The business you're building, did you say $1 million a month?
Yeah.
Last month?
And the month before.
And the month. Oh, so 2 months consecutively, $1 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the place that I'm thinking in my head as well.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, I'm not going to mention what the business is, but is a business like that exitable?
Yeah, I think so. I've already have like a small list of names who may acquire us.
Interesting. So wait, hold on. Before we crack on
Yeah.
to that, what you're just thinking, when someone's thinking about selling their business or thinking about starting a business to sell,
yeah,
have you been writing down the names of, okay, cool, I'm going to message this person on LinkedIn?
I think it depends what your journey is, right? I think if you're doing something with that intention to sell and it's your first business, don't look at that yet. Look at how you can improve that business. I've had 5 startups and sold 3 of them. That's kind of what I know how to do a little bit, right? So, and there's people that know more than me for sure. But yes, there's a short list because of the fact that I can see a path to that exit. And that's not the only goal. The goal is the customer at the end of it and the financials of the business and the success of the business. But yeah, there's a list there.
If you don't mind me asking, the exits before Diamond Whites, can you say how much they're worth? Were there anything near?
No, so like 5 figures and then 6 figures, and then they're 30 million.
Okay, so
small.
Yeah, nothing compared to.
Nothing compared. No.
Okay.
No, small, not massively life changing. The second one, I actually sold the same business twice. So the teeth whitening brand, when I set up the other aligner brand, I made the second entity the subsidiary of. And the first entity that I created in 2012 owned all the trademark. Mm-hmm. When I raised money from VC, the VC money was only going into the subsidiary. And I said, if you want this, you want the name, you want to own the name, which they do. They don't want to not own the name of a business they're investing in. You've got to buy that from me physically because that's what I built historically to this idea. Yeah. So during that VC fundraise, I was bought out of the other one. Yeah. So effectively, they went on to sell the same business twice, effectively.
Yeah, that's crazy. What a smart thinking.
Yeah, and I don't know if I went down that route of thinking to do that at the time, but I knew what I'd built had an asset. It had 250,000 emails. It had a name that's been in retail. It was worth something, no matter on the financials of it, because it could spin off into other categories like it did.
Let's look at it from their perspective, right? Now, say you're now in a position today where you want to buy another company. Someone's looking to sell, wherever the company name may be. What is it, the assets, the data that you would be looking at to say, right, I'm going to buy that? The same way the other company was looking at it, said, okay, cool, they've got 250,000 emails, they've been in retail, they've got an established name brand. What is it that you'd look for?
I don't want to answer a question with a question, but I think it depends on what that business is and what you're buying, right? If you're a private equity, you're buying numbers and EBITDA, you're buying profits, etc. If you're buying an idea, you're buying that idea. In my experience, the company that bought mine was buying it from a strategic perspective. It really narrows down to, why do you want to buy this business? Is it to enter a new market, provide better financials to your holding company, your existing business? Is it, in fact, which I think is a great opportunity out there right now, is a lot of people are retiring, and there's no one to fill the gap. So you've got good businesses with good numbers that actually there's no one to sort of take on from that, or even implement modern strategies, automation, whatever it might be. So I think that you need to define why you want to buy a business and then look at the fundamentals like that. Okay, so is a benefit for me because it's got an existing database, or is a benefit for me because if I add this EBITDA to my EBITDA, it's going to make my business worth more?
Yeah. You know, when you done the whole transaction of it, the big 30 transaction, did they offer you cash at all, or was it saying, okay, cool, no,
So this was the problem. It was a majority equity swap because of the fact that we were in a market where no one knew how we were going to end up with this inflation. So at the time, it was the best offer on the table. Now, I actually raised money during that period. That before they bought me, that I raised over £1 million from them before they completed the transaction, and the agreement was to effectively allow us to continue growing during this transaction. And if we didn't complete the transaction, then it was effectively a capital raise. But it obviously led to the exit in the end. Due to the environment at the time, it was a majority equity swap. And for me, it was a good way to diversify my risk, because yes, if I receive cash on day one, my risk is gone. But from now, my perspective is, okay, if the UK doesn't perform well and it gets closed down, or whatever happens to the UK as an economy, there's 8 other countries that can perform well. So I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket.
But at the same time, and we've had this conversation as well, on the flip side of it is, you know, this holding company, let's just say they're worth hundreds of millions, right? Because they're buying, you said there's 9 companies that they've got?
They've got, not acquired 9, but they're in 9 countries that they built from scratch, some of them as well.
They're in 9 countries. So let's just say they're worth hundreds of millions. Now you've got your stake of that. And then let's just say they 100x, sorry, not 100x, they double in the valuation. Now you're 30 millions, now worth 60 million. But on the flip side as well, if they go bust, you get nothing.
True. And that's the risk you got to take in these industries.
How does that make you feel though?
Look, for me,
because hypothetically, and I hate to be the guy with negative
no, you've got to have it.
Stuff like that. We've got to have it.
You've got to have it.
But I've got to have this conversation. But hypothetically, let's just say that does happen. The whole company and everything you've been working for the past 15 years, and that exit, when you see the 30 million there on the whiteboard, all vanishes overnight. So
for me, it's part of the risk. You weigh up the pros and cons. This company was heavily funded. They've now raised 300 million euros to date, backed by huge investors, public companies. So the risk to reward ratio was fairly small on the risk side, but it is still a risk. But I just have to do it again. You just have to go again, and at the end of the day, maybe my company wouldn't have made it. So I possibly bought more time or bought a higher exit number. Yeah, you could have gone bust yourself. For sure. You never know. Yeah, never know. For sure. And if it was just me in the UK and compared to 9 other countries, going back to the point I made on diversifying risk, I'd rather be in the position I am now and have those 9 than just the one.
I want to ask you a question, right? This is completely away from the business that we're talking about right now. But I remember one time when I was staying in your area in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a message saying, "Hey mate, this is my building. Let's meet up for a coffee and stuff like that." And you gave me a reply, and here you were. And I think that was back in 2023, maybe, or maybe even last year.
Yeah, last year.
Last year. Now, as I said, you're a man. You haven't got like the biggest social media presence. It's not like you're the celebrity. Why is it that you're doing the podcast? Why is it that, and you're also making YouTube videos as well? What's your intention?
Yeah, good point. I think from my perspective, I came to Dubai to start a new life. And I did say to myself at the time, I don't want to be involved in another startup from my own perspective, but I certainly want to be involved in them on a day-to-day because I love it. Like, I love the marketing, I love the branding, I love just being involved in building something special.
Yeah.
And for me, what I wanted to do was go and help others do exactly that. Learn from the lessons and the mistakes that I've made in the past, and also some of the successes if I can help others implement something that changes their business, whether that's through raising capital, which I've helped raise other companies' capital since I moved here, or even if it's just an hour conversation on what they're doing and how they can improve that. For me, I wanted to be involved in startup space, but not necessarily take those stresses home with you. So that's why I started the YouTube, which I've slacked on since this other project. But I love it.
That was stuff, that content that came out before this other project.
Yeah. And I've slacked on it, but I'm still helping others, and I do love it. It's something that I think, funny enough, when I announced me leaving my last business and stepping down, I said to myself, and I've said it in a post, that I'll probably be back, although I don't want to do this again. I just knew that I would swing back round into business in some sort.
What's been the darkest times of entrepreneurship? I asked you what the greatest lessons was. Tell me the darkest times.
So there was many times where it could have just gone pop, right? Even in the teeth whitening days. Like at one point in time, at the very, not the beginning, but midway through, personal loans with personal guarantees. And I'm like 20 years old with a 100 grand loan and less than 100 grand equity in my house at the time, right? I could have lost everything, and I'm in the UK on my own. So like they're the bits that keep you up at night. The financial side of it's probably the biggest stress. Like if money just grew on trees, then everyone would be
Rich.
stress free. And rich. But that's the crux of it. I think that's the most stressful part. So there's times where I didn't think that we were going to be able to make that next payment, for sure. There's times where I've had to ask staff members who I've known for 18 years and very good friends, can I pay you next month? Like there's been times like that. And they're definitely hard, but I think you've got to stay positive, because if you're an individual who cannot see past that, you can bury their head in sand, and it can have a massive long-term effect on your business.
Oh, I've thought of a question, and I want to see how your answer is to this, right? You said your little boy is 3.5 years old.
Yeah.
3.5 years old. You've been with your missus since you was, how old you said, 19, was it?
17? Yeah, probably 18, something like that.
17, 18.
She'll kill me for not knowing how long, but yeah.
Now, when it came to the whole exit, did you look at, because your little boy was around then, did you look at him thinking, you know what, this could be my time to, I don't know how to put it, I could take this time off to spend with my son.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And my partner, because I'm sure, you know, as you're busy with entrepreneurship, building a company to 30 M's, you're going to be very, very busy. So did you think have a look at them and be like, you know, this is a time to cool down?
Definitely. Like, that's why I moved here, because like this place offers such a better quality of life, and that was the main reason. Like, we just got up and went within like 6 weeks. Like, I just knew that we needed a little bit of change, and I could spend more time with them. And there's no better place for it than here. But I think you do get sucked into, like, I'm addicted to my phone, and that's not because I'm just addicted to watching TikToks and stuff, and I do, because that's the only way I can sort of scale back my head on thinking about stuff. But like, if a message goes off, like most of the time it's business related, and most of the time I'll answer straight away. And that is an addiction, good or bad. And I think you need to be addicted to that to succeed a little bit, right? You need that sort of, I want to answer that now.
Yeah.
But that does take you out of the room, even if you're in the room.
No, fair play. So now that you're here, 32 years old, in Dubai, you've got your missus, you've got your little boy. What next? I know you've got the business that you're building, but what do you actually ideally want your life to look like in, let's just say you're 50 years old?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one I don't know the answer to, because you don't know what's right in front of you. Obviously, health, wealth, and happiness are the 3 points, right? And I think the health and happiness comes before the wealth, and I think wealth follows as long as you have those two, and want to make it. But I really love it here. I think for me, this is where I'm going to stay, here in Dubai. I think if you look at the world, most of Europe is falling apart for many reasons.
Definitely.
And this is the new place to be, not for the flashy image and stuff like that, but just it offers so much. The safety, obviously the tax, the weather, although it's too hot right now. But the list goes on. So here is definitely where I want to stay.
Do you ever go back to London, I think?
So I'm going back this weekend, but I went back last year on a one-way flight and lasted 10 days and came back. I've still got my house.
How long did you plan to be there for? Seeing as you went there on a one-way flight.
Yeah, well, I've still got my house there. So I thought maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and I was like, I'm bored. I need to get back, even though it's 45 degrees here. I was like, I want to go back.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that honeymoon period will end, but I still will want to be here. Maybe I will spend more time in the UK when it comes to summers, but it's just a depressed place right now, and it's sad. It used to be the best country in the world. A bit of sun in London is brilliant, right?
Yeah. When it's out, UK is elite. I've said it to so many people.
Yeah.
UK summertime is...
But the sun's never out.
Yeah, the sun's never out. Yeah, we've got 1-2 days of it. But,
yeah, exactly. You can never plan, right?
Yeah, I bought a convertible, and I swear to you, I only for 2 years, I only put the roof down, I promise you, no more than 5 times.
Exactly.
Just because it's either raining, or you're going to get robbed, or acid thrown on you, or this, that, the other. You just think there's no point.
Yeah, and that's it. Like we had a car taken off our driveway at 5 a.m. Like it's not a good place. And you come here and you can. Everyone says it, and it is the truth. You can leave your phone in the wallet on the side and walk off.
Do you know what I think one of the greatest things about the city is here? Is the energy within the people, right? And the way things happen just like that. I mean, I had my car rally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Everyone who came to that, great energy. But not even just that. If I needed things to happen,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, you sorted me out very nicely with trying to word it in the right way, but you sorted me out just with a simple message. In the UK, you'd have to go through so many procedures to get the same sort of thing done.
Yeah.
I just think the energy people
the mentality here is so different. Yeah. The mentality here is, look, you can't move here unless you've done something in your life to allow you to afford to live here.
I would also add to that saying, and this is what I've noticed from being here this time, I don't think you can move here without having something to do either.
No. You get sucked in, mate.
Yeah, that, and you get bored shitless.
Yeah.
If you had nothing to do.
I think there's two, if you come here with nothing to do, you're going to be in beach clubs every weekend, which isn't a good road to go down. You're going to waste an absolute fortune. Like the amount of time. So I've lived here since March last year. So what's that? Like 14, 15 months, give or take. And I do not go to the places that you go to when you come on holiday.
Yeah.
JBR, Palm, etc. I'm never there.
Yeah. I haven't been to JBR in about 6 months.
Yeah. You're never there.
Yeah.
But you come in on holiday and you'll go straight there, right? Like you see different sides of Dubai when you live here. And that's what I love about it. Like there's so many, I guess, hidden gems in a way, but if you're here on holiday, you don't know about it.
Yeah.
And everyone who maybe has been here once, twice, or not been here at all only sees that side of it. But there's so much more to explore.
Where you live, there is no tourists there at all.
Mate, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
It's the best place in
People
Dubai.
only go there for like family oriented. I remember when I was staying there last week, you just come out and it's families, which is nice. And that's what you want. You go to JBR now, it's just full of,
We're getting into JBR's a nightmare.
Yeah. Getting here.
It's a nightmare. It takes you 30 minutes just to get in. But where I live is brilliant. Like we we will move from there, but we don't want to.
Mm.
Like it's all apartments, and I do want to be able to host in a garden and have a pool, etc. Like the amenities are great, and it has all of that, but it's not your own.
Yeah.
But the view from Dubai Creek Harbour is, mate, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Seeing as we're on the subject of Dubai and we're talking about wealth, I want to ask you, in your whole time of entrepreneurship, being 32 years old, did you ever really truly enjoy the wealth, or are you only doing that now to an extent? I'm talking like people get success, they get themselves a nice car, nice watch. I know you got nice watches, but you know, just that side of it.
Yeah, proportionally, I've never been one to waste it, but I've also enjoyed it.
What's been the biggest waste of money that you've spent money on?
Cars is probably it.
Really? Okay. What?
911, 911. The new, is it? What's the model? 911, 992. Is it?
Yeah, 992 is the latest.
992. Yeah. So that waste of money, mate.
Yeah.
I've still got a Q8 back sitting back home in the UK. Like, it's just a waste of money. Here I've not even got a nice car, mate. I've got a Jetor Chinese T2.
Oh yeah,
they're brilliant.
Like, someone was telling me that the Ferrari you bought on the rally was yours though.
No.
Oh.
No, I wish, mate.
That was nice though.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you ever think about making purchases like that, or?
Do you know what I think about and have always thought about is what would that do better in the business? Like for me, I've always invested in watches. Like my first watch I bought when I was 17, 18. I've still got it today. Second watch.
Which one was that?
That's a Cartier Santos.
Really?
And then my wife's got that. And then second watch was a Daytona. I've still got, paid £6,500.
Yeah.
It's now maybe
$6,500 for a Daytona.
Yeah. It's now about 18. So like I've always invested in watches. That's the biggest thing I've invested.
Safe bet, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've got a good collection and see it as a safe haven.
Yeah. No, fair. Well, like I said, one of my last questions was going to be, actually, first and foremost, before I come to that, I have definitely decided I'd love for you to attend my mastermind this year in December, and host a seminar, talk, and all that sort of stuff. So
amazing. I appreciate it.
I think you're credible for that.
Thank you.
Let's imagine, what's your son's name?
Mason.
So let's imagine Mason's watching this podcast right now.
Yeah.
When he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
He's just hit 18. He's seen, oh, look, there's Daddy on YouTube, on a podcast, on some idiot's podcast. What would your message to Mason be?
At 18, my message to Mason would be, do you know what I'm concerned about? God, is living in a bubble here. I'm concerned about that for him now, not only from my own perspective of being able to give him a good life, but where he is in terms of an environment. Like, it's a bubble. The reality of the rest of the world isn't like Dubai.
Do you know what? I say this to all my friends who live out here who have kids, and I would live here myself now.
Yeah.
Because I've grown up in the UK.
Yeah.
If I have kids, especially a son, would I want him to grow up here? Probably not.
No, they need to see the rough roads of London, mate.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Like, because I feel like, more than anything, I'm not the most educated person, but I'm definitely street smart because I grew up on the streets, right? Yeah. Not in a roadman way, but...
No, I get it. No, I get it, mate. Like, for
and I feel like
me, that's how I grew up. Like, friends in and out of prison and stuff like that. Like, you learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Like, you learn a lot from it.
It makes you the man you are today.
100%. And it makes you understand business too, because like people are out there to fuck you over, like excuse my language, but they are,
of course, yeah.
And it's the same mentality as, and I, again, not saying I'm a roadman at all, but it's the same mentality of growing up in areas that stuff happens, right? Like you understand how some people are, how people maneuver, and how things are done, and that is also business. So, but the problem here is you walk down the road and you see nice cars all the time, you see nice buildings, you have nice lifestyles, you have nice lunches, like the list goes on.
Yeah.
But none of the negatives are really here.
Yeah.
You can wear your watch and walk around. Best believe I'm not wearing a watch in London next week. Like,
yeah, not at all. No, you're probably not even taking one.
No, exactly. So like, but he also needs to understand that you can't just leave Dubai and think it's the same everywhere. So like, my biggest lesson to him now is, and making sure what I do in the next few years as he grows up is showing him the world from a different perspective than Dubai. And I think that's massively important into his success as an individual and the way or the person he becomes.
Yeah, definitely. I know some people, some boys who have lived here their whole lives.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I no disrespect for them, they're just soft guys. Do you know what I mean?
And that doesn't get you very far in business.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't, because you need to be at some point a shrewd businessman. To make the right decisions, and sometimes
but people screw you.
Yeah,
and if you don't see that coming because you think everyone's nice, like you best believe you ain't getting
far. Get walked all over in life.
Walked all over.
Yeah,
walked all over. Like,
so that's your message to Mason now. You're trying to teach that to him now.
Yeah, and my lesson at 18 is I hope he learned that.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Well, Ben, where can people find you if they can?
Yeah, so LinkedIn. Maybe I'll start to do more on the YouTube side.
Definitely think you should.
But Ben_Reed on both of those, and again on Instagram.
That's sweet as. And guys, if it's your first time watching CEOCAST, make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment your feedback as well. Let me know what you think of Ben's story. And until then, I'll catch you on the next episode next Sunday. Peace.